It's Wednesday and it's time for history. And this week we are going to be comparing two explorers, two men that lived in very different times, but who both share similarities. So Neil Armstrong, who you've all heard of, and we've learnt about him already this year, haven't we, in our space topic? And then Christopher Columbus from last week's lesson. So you're going to compare their explorations and experiences and try and describe how their missions were similar and different. And then you're going to do an activity where you sort various items according to whether they were important to Columbus or Armstrong. So take a look at these two pictures. And what is the first thing that really strikes you about them that is different? They're both men. They're both wearing their special clothing outfits for the photograph or the picture. Well, the one on the left is Columbus, isn't it? And it's a painting of him. The one on the right is Neil Armstrong, and it is a photograph. And of course, photography wasn't around in the time of Columbus, so they had to do paintings instead. Now, when did Neil Armstrong live? Some of you might remember this. Let's have a look at our timeline again. And going way back 700 years ago, we've got Ibn Battuta, the explorer that lots of us haven't heard of. A little bit forward in time, and we have Columbus, and he was about 600 years ago. He was alive. Then we have the Tudor period, around the time when Shakespeare was alive, 500 years ago or so. And then we come this way, don't we? The Victorian period to the present day. And let's see where Neil Armstrong belongs. There we go. In the 20th century, really, 1930 to 2012. So he was born in America in 1930, was an American astronaut, as you all know, and the first man, of course, to walk on the moon. And he died aged 82 in 2012. What did he do? Well, when he was 15 years old, he got his first pilot's license, so he was able to fly. So if you remember, Columbus was about 13, wasn't he, when he went on the first little voyage? So they were both quite young when they first started exploring. After going to university, he became a test pilot and flew over 200 different aircrafts in his career. He was accepted to be part of the NASA astronaut corps in September 1962. His first trip into space was aboard Gemini 8. But this is the one he was really famous for. In 1969, when he went aboard Apollo 11 and became the first man to walk on the moon. They launched from Kennedy Space Center on July the 11th, and the moon landing was shown all across the world on television. So you'll remember in our space topic, we watched some footage, didn't we? Watched some videos, film from back then in the 60s. People watching it all across the world, and it's estimated that 600 million people watched, because a lot of them had TVs at that point. But it was still a very, very exciting thing to be happening, and to be able to watch it on TV made it all the more extraordinary. So if you click on the link, you'll be able to see a video of that happening if you want to. So Armstrong collected moon rocks from the surface and brought them back to Earth to be studied. So think about Columbus. Can you remember the things that he was famous for bringing back from his travels? That's right, potatoes and tomatoes. And these, of course, were Armstrong's famous words: "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Now, I thought I'd add in a little horrible histories clip for you here. It's always good fun. So if you want to watch that, you can have a little laugh at them having an argument. how was Armstrong's mission similar and different to that of Columbus? I'd like you to have a think, maybe have a chat with a brother or sister or a parent, a carer. What did Armstrong want to do you think? And how was this similar to what Columbus did? What was different about how they were going to complete their mission? So think about the transport they used. Think about the technology or lack of technology they would have used. Think about what they already knew about the world or what they didn't know. What was the same or different about what they could use to help them? So do you remember Columbus? He was searching for India by sea, wasn't he? Travelling out west. And he was discovering new lands. But we could also compare that to Armstrong, who was exploring and travelling to the moon, to land on the moon for the first time. So I expect they both had similar feelings on their explorations. So your activity today is to have a look at these items, and they'll be on a little sheet like this that I will attach to the PowerPoint. You're going to have a look at these items, have a think about which ones would belong to which explorer, and try and explain why they were important and how they were used. So the Americas were important to Columbus because a rocket was used by Armstrong because why didn't he travel in a car? A ship was used by Columbus to, and the moon was important to Armstrong because. So these are questions I'd like you to really think about and answer after you've done your sorting activity. So here are the items you're going to sort. You've got ship, telescope, helmet, compass, map. And you're going to put them in this table. So Christopher Columbus voyaged to the New World in 1492, items there. That's where you'll stick those items. And then Neil Armstrong's mission to the moon in 1969, put the items that you believe would belong there in that column. And then for those of you who are feeling particularly brave today, you could fill in these sentences. The Americas were important to Columbus because, and the moon to Armstrong because, and so on and so forth. Really thinking about your answers. Okay, everybody, good luck.